strength, and power, a message that evokes a freedom in the prison of our minds. As we're here today to celebrate the end of slavery in the United States, it's only right that we pay homage to those before us that endured a nationwide atrocity. On June 19th, 1865, federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, to take control of the state and ensure that all enslaved people be freed. The troops' arrival came 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. Emancipation means the fact or process of being set free from legal, social, or political restrictions, liberation. We cannot move forward without acknowledging that the freedom that was given wasn't fully honored then or now. The freedom wasn't free. It didn't come without a cost. A freedom was given that fueled racism, discrimination, and continual brutality because of a human characteristic that can't be changed, our skin color. Slavery encouraged violence and hatred and has contributed to a long history of generational trauma, collective trauma, individual trauma, complex trauma, vicarious trauma, secondary trauma, and systemic racism. And what this means is that people have constantly fought for their freedom, endured the many isms that plague our country. They have felt and seen discrimination, heard slurs and conversations of others, been victims and bystanders to violence. The effects of slavery and brutality are still present today, the effects that have stayed in our minds. So today, I want to talk about the N-word. No, I'm not talking about that N-word, but I'm talking about some N-words. The N-word of my choice today is normalizing. Normalizing the conversation about mental health. Physical health and mental health are both important to the human existence. They are the human experience. Our society spends so much time talking and promoting physical health, it tends to neglect the mental health component. We can't do anything without our minds. Without our mind, our body will not function. And if our mind isn't functioning correctly, we are not living to our fullest abilities. Mental health and physical health have a reciprocal relationship, which means that one impacts the other. You can't tell me that someone who isn't struggling with a terminal illness isn't also struggling with their mental health. What about their families and their caregivers? And this is why it's a necessity to include mental health as an unmovable pillar in our communities. So right now, I want to put you all on notice. I notify you today of the mental health crisis that we are in. There's 1 in 5 people who have a diagnosable mental illness. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other people who are struggling with mental health problems that don't require a diagnosis. Research shows us that people who live in poverty are more likely to have mental health problems, are more likely to have co-occurring disorders, and are more unlikely to get help. And when they do go to get help, there's limited healthcare providers. There's limited access to affordable health insurance. There's transportation problems, an inability to pay, and a fear of being stigmatized for needing just a little extra care navigating this thing that we call life. So I'm here to netify any misconceptions about mental health. And what I mean by netify is to clean up. One of the biggest misconceptions about mental health is that it's exclusive to some, when the reality is it's inclusive to all of us. Mental health is on a continuum, from surviving to thriving, from poor to excellent. But most people, when asked about mental health, they automatically assign the imagery of the most extreme cases of mental illness, and this isn't the truth. The reality is mental health is a part of all of our lives. Although it does not always impact everyone's ability to function, which at that point it would be a diagnosable mental illness, it still does exist. Every day we navigate through this thing called life. Every day we turn on the TV and we see something. Every single day we witness someone else's trauma, whether it's our personal experience or whether we are witnessing it from afar. We're looking at mass shootings, public health crisis, terminal illness, medical traumas, accidents, world hunger, police brutality, sexual abuse, domestic violence, child abuse, refugee trauma, sex trafficking, terrorism, bullying, community violence, natural disasters. I could go on and on and on. Don't take my word for it. Turn on the TV. Matter of fact, grab your phone right now, go on the internet, see what's going on in the world around us, and then ask the person next to you about their empathetic response. We all see it and we all feel it. So how can people say they are not impacted by what is being seen and heard among the human race? Why must we hide that we are impacted by what is being seen and heard among the human race? Why must we hide that sometimes we are not okay with what we see, hear, and feel? We're not designed to be in this world alone. What connects us is our experiences. And regardless of the experience, the impact is still the same. The impact that it has on our minds and how we think, feel, and act daily. We focus so much on physical health, but it is really the mental health that's in the forefront. The mental health is driving the car, not riding shotgun. So I'm asking you all to nullify mental health stigma. And by nullify, I mean to void, invalidate, and cancel out. It's the stigma, the preconceived notions, and the hands-off attitude that keeps people from getting what they need. When mental health is frowned upon, it makes people feel shame and they suffer alone. The disservice of labeling people as crazy and shunning them because they need a little extra help really hinders help-seeking behavior. Mental health should not be negotiated ever. It should be a non-negotiable part of people's lives. It should never be neglected because it plays such an important role in our functioning. It determines how we perceive and how we interact in this world, which isn't always pretty. Those who need to talk and need a higher level of treatment should be nurtured and handled with care because their life can depend on it. As of 2021, suicide was the 11th leading cause of death. There were 48,183 people who committed suicide. There were 1.70 million attempts. Do you all hear me? Do you hear me? Let's talk about these kids. Suicide was the second leading cause of death among the 15 to 24 age group. Nearly 20% of high school students have reported suicidal ideation. There are babies, there are future, and this is why mental health is a necessity. It must be given more talk, more time, and more of your talents. People are struggling, and it is our problem. What people need is our nurturing. They need to know it's okay not to be okay and still be supported. We can nourish them with our ears, our kindness, our non-judgmental attitudes, and our resources. So let's network. Providers, faith-based organizations, schools, community leaders, business owners, all you individuals right here, are you in? Can we navigate this crisis together? Sometimes a conversation is all someone needs to make a difference, the difference between life and death. As I leave you today, I hope I haven't nagged you too much. The Emancipation Proclamation didn't instantly free enslaved people, just like people are not instantly freed from the stressors and traumas of this life. It'll take collective work to address this crisis. By collective, I mean all of us, not just me, not just you, all of us. I hope you let today's lesson on the N-words be a call to our communities to never ignore the importance of mental health in a person's life, in your life. Unlike the Emancipation Proclamation, you do not have to wait 2.5 years to know that you can have freedom. Addressing mental health is your freedom. Addressing mental health is our freedom. Can we name it? Can we call it by name? Can we call it normal? Can we call it non-negotiable? Thank you for your time. God bless you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.